Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the sheriff for roll call.
Sheriff Tommy Johnson.
Rick Warren.
Carrie Bloomert.
Brian Mon. Kevin Tubbs.
Christy Miller for 4th.
Okay, everything was properly posted on September 13th. Our Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Bloomer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 18th?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We didn't button. Any individual, all in favor, say aye, and I guess we all voted aye. All right, on the individual items on the consent docket, is there any that people have heard specifically? If not, is there a motion to vote on it as a whole?
Motion to vote.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Danny?
Morning.
Which one and what page?
The PowerPoint, first page 2, first slide. All right, these are the general fund budgets as of the end of August. Of course, those will change after we vote on the supplement today. I just want to point out right now we have 1.5 million in reserve. If you adopt the VET recommendation today, that reserve amount will go up to 3,195,000. Couple slides over, comparing this slide, page number 5, comparing this year's revenue to last year's revenue through August. Only thing I want to point out here is under the intergovernmental revenue on the total far right, we're down 2.2 million over the first 2 months last year. That is as a result of the juvenile detention money that we had received last year. We got it all in bulk in July last year. We just haven't received any to date, so that's why that number is so skewed. Couple slides over, just a year-to-date comparison on the medical and prescription claims. Once we plug in the ARPA reimbursement that will go into this fund next week, the net claims through September 6th are down about 501,000. So we're tracking really good so far. And then the very last slide is the capital projects detail list. I'm just pointing this out because you have several items on the agenda, items 38 through 42, requesting that we add 5 more line items for new projects. So when you get to those items, if you approve them, they will be added to this list here. I don't think we have any funding sources yet, but they were requested that we go ahead and add them for now. Also, in the supplement, there's going to be a recommendation to transfer $2 million from general fund over to this fund and create a new department code for that $2 million for the new jail construction. I apologize, that should have been on the agenda. Creating that new cost center, it didn't get on there. That's my fault, but it will be on there next month.
Any questions of Danny? I appreciate your explanations. Is there a motion to receive his report?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Compton?
Good morning.
Morning.
We have a much healthier watch list than we did last time. As we went through September supplement, we were looking at items that there were still quite a few unknowns on. We added those to the watch list. You can see there we've added 11 or 12 new items. One of the items that was on there before is no longer on there, and it was the freezer for juvenile, and it's actually over. It's on the second page, but it's not on the front page because we've included that in our recommendation with the supplement money. If that wasn't approved, then we would move it back to the watch list. But this is just kind of our beginning of the year. The total there's just over $3 million reserve if the recommendation from BET is adopted for the supplement. You're going to have just a little over $3.1 million. So there will be sufficient to cover that. So.
Okay. Questions, Cody? There a motion to
Move to
receive?
receive.
All in favor, say, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Whoever.
Good morning. Danny touched on the numbers. The good news is through 2 months, we're under where we were last fiscal year. So the plan is doing really well. We're seeing less big cases the first 2 months of this year, which is good. And we also received a big prescription rebate this week. So we got that deposited. Overall, the fund is doing very well. Unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Questions, John? There a motion to receive his report?
Second motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 36. Go ahead.
Sure. The BET reviewed these numbers and suggested to go ahead and freeze employee rates. The actuary report is attached to this agenda, and what they do is just take national trends into effect, and our plans doesn't follow national trends. So we have enough money to end this fiscal year in employee benefits without adding additional revenue from the employees. This will bring in about $450,000 this fiscal year if we increased employee rates, but there's really no reason to. We have plenty of money in the fund. We're going to end the year and we're receiving some ARPA rebates back as well. So I just ask you to freeze the rates and follow the BET's recommendation.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Motion?
I'll move approval that we freeze the employee rates.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cody, you want to lead us through these?
We have just over $20,000 remaining in the CARES account. John has gone back through and looked at COVID-related medical expenses for the period that CARES was in effect. He has located items that need to be reimbursed to the tune of $20,000 and some change. There's actually a little bit more than that. He'll come back and include those in an ARPA request. But our recommendation is to go ahead and clear out the CARES account by reimbursing employee benefits to the $20,467.57.
Okay.
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Stacy? Or you, well,
So Danny touched on this a little bit. This is just a request from the infrastructure committee to put these line items on the capital projects. 38 through I think 42.
probably can be taken as a whole unless anybody wants to hold out.
I'll move approval of items 38 through 42.
All in favor, say any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Aaron. Item 43. This is to do the internal pipe repairs for the sprinkler system. Motion. Juby.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 44 is also for that. It's to move from operation to capital.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 45, Danny.
These are the supplement numbers This is the projected revenue for general fund for this fiscal year. As you know, we estimate the revenue back when we create the adopted budget back in April. Presented these numbers, which is in the first column. Then after we close out the year and we get the assessed valuations from the assessor's office, we update these numbers, which is the middle column, the amended budget. The first number being the biggest, a little more than 83 million. And property tax, that's about a $3.7 million increase over what we had budgeted. That's helping with the supplement. And then scroll down almost toward the bottom, interest income, you'll see it jumped from, we had estimated 100,000 in discussions with Mark Cycle in the treasurer's office, estimating that figure will be 2.8 million for this fiscal year. 2 million of that is estimated to come from the ARPA fund. So all the interest earned on the $150 million sitting in ARPA fund goes to general fund. That is an estimate, but that does factor into our revenue for this fiscal year. All total estimated revenue, 107,106,296. We have a fund balance increase over what we had estimated. So total, we have total sources available, 120,301,716. That is a supplement of $8.6 million. Last year, the supplement was 5.6.
Is there any questions, Danny? Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now Cody again.
I was up and down this morning getting this. All right, the document I gave you, you already have that information. It's all in the packet. As I was going through it to do my presentation, those that are on BET know that my eyesight is not very good and it's hard to see those little bitty numbers and stay on the line item. So what I did was I just pulled out from the color-coded document that you guys have. I just pulled out those items that are included in our recommendation. As Danny mentioned, the September supplement is $8,604,276. When we were meeting, we were really concerned about including $2 million of that in our budgeting due to the fact that that's anticipated interest off of ARPA money. We don't know how long that ARPA money is going to sit in the account to draw interest. It could go out the door fast. It could go out the door slow. We really don't know. So we did recommend just moving that into the capital account. That way we're not counting on that to be able to budget. Okay. The changes that you'll see on there is, first of all, we have an 8.5% COLA recommended for general fund departments. That total is the $3,606,424. General government, we're recommending increasing that budget by $786,312. That includes $150,000 for anticipated outside legal expenses, $575,312 for the trust fixed cost increases, which is their transportation contract with the sheriff, employer paid health insurance premiums, workers' comp, liability insurance, inmate food, inmate medical, those items that are contractual in nature or they already have an invoice, know what those increases are. We included that in our budget recommendation. Ankle bracelets of 61,000. That would go into general government at some point in the near future. We would have another item to cut a check out of general government to court services Indigent Fund. This is the fund that they utilize to help those that are deemed indigent to pay for ankle monitoring services. This $61,000 includes money for the monthly subscription that is required, as well as the known lost bracelet replacement. There's an anticipated amount from July until December of $19,000 for lost bracelets, but that's just anticipated. So if you recall back to the watch list, we put 19,000 on there for the watch list. So anticipate a transfer request from reserve later on in the year for the back half of lost bracelets, which are $1,050 a piece. County audit, we're recommending increasing that budget by $53,036. This is just a product of the reserve going up. It's statutory, a tenth of a mil, so that needs to come out off the top. Purchasing, we're recommending increasing their budget by $65,909. This would allow purchasing to seek and hire a grant writer that would be able to serve the entire county, looking for grants available to help all of us in the services that we provide to the citizens of Oklahoma County. That amount is for 9 months of salary and basically 6 months worth of benefits. So next fiscal year, that amount will be up a little bit. We are recommending increasing the sheriff's budget by $525,503. This is for salary and benefit increases for pay parity. What this will allow them to do is increase their civilian pay to a minimum of $17 an hour, and their folks that are not civilian, the detention or not detention, the deputies that are in the field and whatnot, to $50,000. And then there's to be able to allow for the differences that need to be within those ranges. There will be adjustments throughout. The actual cost for the pay parity request is right at double this expense, but like we've done in the past, we're recommending a staggered approach, doing half of the increase this year and then using special revenue to be able to meet the other half for this year. And then potentially next year, the plan would be to increase it again by the same amount to get to that total pay parity amount that they were requesting. We're requesting $39,925 be added to the juvenile budget. This is for a walk-in freezer. They've had some issues with their walk-in freezer. Upon verification with the vendor, it's a 16-week lead time to order and install. So our recommendation is to go ahead and get that in their budget so they can start that process. Emergency management, $88,170. $68,170 would be for a new position, an admin position. That department has, to my knowledge, never had an administrative position to help them with phones, help them pay bills, do various other functions. They're all doing their normal emergency management role on top of those duties. So they would like to get somebody to handle the administrative portions. Previously in their budget, they had 2 new cabin chassis for some of the rural fire departments. Upon looking at some of the cost increases, those have increased by $20,000 for those 2 cabin chassis units, and so they are requesting the $20,000, which would get us to the $88,170. And we funded 2 cabin chassis for a few years for them to help those entities. District 2, we're recommending an increase in their budget of $13,922, and that is for salary adjustment. Skip reserve for just a second. We're recommending increasing the DA state contract line item by $200,000. The state is increasing the revenue they are sending to Oklahoma County by $200,000 for this particular purpose. Thus, since we've included that additional revenue in the supplement, we need to offset that with the expense. Capital, this was touched on a little bit by Danny earlier. We're recommending $300,000 into the as needed line item in the capital account. That's the line item that infrastructure is able to use to pay for emergencies. There was some rollover from last year, had an incident over here at the courthouse with the fire system. Having that money in there allowed infrastructure to have an emergency meeting and get with Keith, and they were able to start procuring the necessary items to get on that immediately instead of having to wait weeks or whatever to get money. So we're recommending getting that account back up to the $300,000. The $2 million is what I mentioned earlier, the ARPA anticipated interest. Self-insurance, we're recommending increasing that budget by $50,000. That's to pay for depositions, expert witnesses, et cetera. We've already had to transfer money into there twice this year, which is kind of unprecedented. I would not be shocked if we need some more infusion into that account sometime this year. And we did take that into account with our watch list and included an item for additional funds in the watch list. Finally, the defined benefit. We had been putting $800,000 in that account for a few years now. After retirement board had met and there was some discussion that they don't really need the 800,000 in there this year, that the account is fine. So our recommendation would be to pull that 800,000 this year, and then we can look at it again next year and see if the account is still flush enough. Taking all those dollar amounts into account and comparing that to the $8.6 million, that left us with an additional $1,675,075 to put into the general fund reserve account. If this board adopted the BET recommendation, the 3.195783, I think is what it says, would be what we were starting the year out in general fund reserve, which is right in line with what we had the year before and previous years. We always have to keep in mind that we're a self-insured benefit entity, so we always want to make sure that we got money in there in case our insurance claims are increased beyond what we expect. So that is our recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Cody, for that comprehensive, and I appreciate the breakout that you provided. Are there any changes on this from the document we read?
No, sir.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you to the BET. You guys not only spent hours, you spent days. And for us to have a succinct report that you just gave took all of your time. So I want to thank you, and especially you, for leading that. A couple of things I wanted to point out. When you mentioned we don't need, I'm on the retirement board as your chair. So yeah, that's because forfeitures are up this year. There have sadly been a few that have passed away, so the burden is less. But you're right to point out that in the future that's possible that we will need to come back and revisit that, just depending on how things go there. But I'm also intending, for anybody who wonders, they have not had any kind of a COLA adjustment in years. We have annually done a stipend. And so this year, I'm going to try to go back and introduce something so that our retirees that are on the old defined benefit plan can get some adjustment similar, if not the same, as what our current employees are. And again, we believe we can do that with existing funds within the retirement board account at this time for now. And I, of course, have, through Brandy articulately through the BET, my concern was about taking on such a hit for the reserve fund. It takes us, with a lot of watch list items on. I'm pro-employee. I recognize all the department heads who've talked about they need a COLA adjustment more than usual because of the appeal and the job market being competitive right now. But I know this is an all or nothing vote, so I'll vote for it today, but I still want to echo my concerns about taking such a big leap. Is there any other discussion? Any other want to comment?
Well, at some point, just as I'll vote for it too, just as the sheriff's office has faced some upward pressure on salaries because of state action from the highway patrol competing, with the sheriff's office and these deputies. A similar situation occurs with the jail trust because Department of Corrections raised there. At some point, we need to address
Any others? All right, I think we're still on item 46 where we're just receiving his report.
Motion to receive.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
Item 47 is to take action on that report. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 48. Danny.
Item 48 is the county's estimated financial statements for fiscal year 21-22. These are the forms that we are required to file with the state. Every county in Oklahoma has to file these statements. These are cash statements, and with the vote that just happened, it'll include the supplement and where the supplement funds will go for next fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
And
Wait, are we on 7 or 48?
48.
Okay.
and that appropriation included it making the raise retroactive July 1. Was that correct or no? Okay. I thought we probably ought to have that stated for the record.
Yeah, just as I was walking back there, I was like, I should have mentioned that. The dollar amounts that are associated with the recommendation would include that COLA to be retroactive to July 1 and just be implemented when the clerk's office has the ability to get it on the payroll side.
Which will likely be October.
Yes, because it has to go to excise board. They're not going to meet until October for the final, and then we'll get it on the October.
So for employees that get excited, that'll be a one-time lump there to retro it up from July till present that day, and then it'll go back down to the normal 8.5% raise. Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out.
All right. Is there a motion on item 48? Okay. It doesn't show it on my screen. My apologies. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 49. Handbook. Mr. Holmes.
I'm here on behalf of Doug. He's in Tulsa and in the Fall Dakota Conference, so he's asked me to present on this item today. So essentially, we are just mirroring what the state's travel reimbursement policy has enacted by way of House Bill 4188. So the three, or really the two major changes that have happened is as of November 1st, Oklahoma County employees or state of Oklahoma employees will no longer be able to lease a vehicle and traveling. They'll only be allowed to rent. And then also, no longer will a state employee or an Oklahoma County employee be approved a stipend for overnight lodging if they choose to stay with a friend or a relative rather than stay in a hotel or a motel. So those are the two major changes. And we did make some statutory citation updates in the handbook as well. So these will take effect.
Motion to approve.
Can you just really quickly remind employees where they can find the handbook?
Yeah, it should be on the desktops of everybody that's connected to the county intranet.
And as soon as we approve these changes, does IT go in and actually make those updates?
Yeah, so the county, I would imagine, would go in and they
Okay.
will they'll provide an update to the IT group. And they'll push that out to the desktop show, and it'll be labeled on there as such with the new effective date.
Okay. Is there a motion for those changes?
I think there was a motion.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm flying blind here. Okay. Item 50. Danny.
Okay, any new department codes, subcodes get approved by this board. So the structure is attached here. I've got to pull it up on the big screen for the ARPA fund. Within the ARPA fund, there are two department codes that are already set up. What we are setting up today are sub-departments underneath those departments. So that will allow each department who has a project that's through ARPA funds will be able to do the receiving for their own department. And we will allocate, as these projects are approved, we will allocate them to the sub-department that relates to that department. And this is the structure.
As you mentioned, we don't have the one on about the jail, but we're going to do it for any nervousness out there in the public about it. Okay, is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
51 is to transfer those appropriations, as is 52 and 53 and 54, 50, 5.
Motion to approve those items.
No one have them individually.
So 51 through 55 is to actually transfer the money into those sub accounts we just
Correct, to
created.
transfer them
Okay.
and appropriate the dollars.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion.
Second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any citizens wishing to speak to the budget board? Hearing none, is there comments? Lester?
Yes, Carrie and I were over at the STARS program. It was great. We got to see some lives being changed from people who had had problems with the law. And thank you, John. The health screening, it went great. I was really excited about that. And then congratulations to Special Judge Nicole Gillette, who was sworn in today at 9 o'clock. Congratulations to Palomar for their anniversary. They had a big event here earlier this week. I think Bloomer saw you there, and Sheriff Johnson. Great event. Congratulations to them.
State fair started yesterday, I believe, and today, and runs through not this weekend, but the next weekend. So go out and visit the state fair.
I'd like to thank Cody, Danny, John, all the hard work they do on the BET. I think they did a great job. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank BET and thank the board.
And the employees, we appreciate you, and I think that this board has shown that commitment to you, and not only this unprecedented COLA. This is the largest COLA in county history, and also absorbing any rate increases for healthcare premium. So it's a double win for the employees. So you're valued and appreciated. Any other comments? Any other new business? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
For a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 First, you have to sign